What are my feelings about the WPL C44KM? Welcome everybody to the bench where we're building a WPL C44KM. This is an older model of both the one that's supposed to represent the old LandCruiser from the 60s, 70s, whatever, old. The WPL C44KM has been out for years as well. I actually thought it was discontinued, but all of a sudden it was back in stock. I had wanted one for several years because it looks really good in photos and on video and in person. So when it all of a sudden was back in stock, I had to have it. It was less than $100, I think. So a kit, you build it. Most of the stuff you need is there. Let's do it. So having built, let's see, 4 or 5 WPLs in the past, mostly C24, B24 based stuff. So the same chassis, just different bodies on top. One's a gas 66 truck. The others are Hilux. This time we're in another Toyota, but on the C44, which is this one, and the C34, which is a similar one, but not a pickup, sort of a crew cab instead, they have a slightly different chassis. The main difference is in the chassis rails and where you mount the servo and ideally the electronics up front under the hood or the bonnet, if you will. So I've already gotten a bit on the way here, mounted up parts of the chassis, put the shocks together. These are just really basic friction shocks, but for these rigs, they actually work just fine. Would a nice oil shock be better? Sure, but also more expensive. This is a kit that you get for roughly $100, and if you add a winch to the cart when you're buying this one, you get that as well in the price. So $100 for a rig with a motor, a servo, a horrible servo. We'll get back to that. The 2-speed transmission and the 370 motor, which is pretty fast in high gear and has loads of torque in low gear. It's really nice, except we'll also get back to that. It hangs really low. A different design would be preferable, but as a trail rig, transmission is fine. It's got the 2 speeds and, as I said, plenty of speed, plenty of torque. The kit also comes with, it's a KM kit, which means kit metal in WPL speak. So it comes with metal axles and metal axle housings and metal diff gears and all of that. The axles are fairly easy build. Nothing too difficult. Quality is not the best, but they work. Just have to shim them right, get everything working, and then hope for the best. I have, with this rig, I think I have like 4 or 5 set of WPL metal axles, and most of them work fine. Some of them not so much. Luckily, there are aftermarket parts you can get to make them work better and be more durable, like steel gears instead of the brass gears you see here on your screen. Not a lot of tuning options, not a lot of upgrades for them really. Well, none actually, other than the steel gears. That's pretty much all I've found. If I'm wrong, hit me up in the comments and I'll know better next time. You can see me just putting on some paper little bushings, spacers. That's a seal and kind of a shim of sorts to get everything right. So sometimes you can use a couple of them to shim up the gears better. They can be a bit rough. Run them with a drill and you'll smooth them out and also wear them down, which is, yeah. And as normal, WPL comes with a nice set of instructions with some little jokes here and there. Almost there. You can see it right there on the screen. And looking good. Well, little things. It's fun. I wish they had a better way to sort which screws are which, because it comes with a bunch of different screws, different lengths and all that stuff, and it's not really easy to figure out which is which is not great. But eventually you kind of figure it out and hopefully get it together the way it's supposed to be put together. It's a cheap kit and you kind of feel it the whole way through. Sure, the instructions are pretty good. The screws are not the greatest quality, but they work. They're not sorted in any way, really. You just get a bunch of screws in the bag, so you kind of have to identify which is which. Some of them are easier to figure out, some of them are not. Some are machine screws for metal going into metal, and some are for going into plastic. So those are easy to separate, but yeah, it's WPL stuff. It's cheap stuff. This is basically toy grade price almost, but kind of hobby grade quality, and most definitely hobby grade as in the way you can work on it, fix stuff, change stuff, and to some degree upgrade stuff. So I'm going to go through some of the things you have to do to build one. So follow along. It's going to be a long one. I'll be honest with you. I find the chassis slightly frustrating to work on. The quality of all the parts aren't all there. The screws aren't that great. They're Phillips head screws instead of, hex screws, which is okay. Yeah, not great, but it works. So I decided to jump onto the cab. I did, well, this didn't come out great. I'll have to admit that. Luckily, it's the inside of the interior. I primered it. The primer didn't really want to stick, even if I buffed it down, washed it, all that on the black plastic that goes on for the interior. Same with the seats. I painted some of it with a paintbrush, some of it with a airbrush. The paintbrush stuff is what you see here. Luckily, that's hidden inside the cab because it looks pretty awful. But, like I said, it's hidden, so I'll go with it. The cab itself, well, that's another story. When I first got the kit, I opened it up and something was off. The cab came in more pieces than it should have. You have to build the cab from different pieces of plastic, but mine was just pretty much exploded. So I had to wait for a new one to be sent from China, from WPL. Got that. That was luckily intact. I really like the brown color this comes in. You can get it in brown and white, I believe. The brown is really nice. It's just too shiny, and I wanted to do something different. So I washed it off, sanded it down, primered it, did so many layers of orange because orange is one of the worst colors to work with, but it turned out okay. Then I decided, well, it's still too shiny, too clean. It's an old truck, so I did a bunch of weathering with brushes, with dry brushing, with some washes, with an airbrush, and it turned out pretty cool. Well, I think it turned out pretty well. The cab itself, the build, also frustrating. The plastic is really brittle, so you have to be really careful. The parts don't always fit together that well. It's like the doors come in two separate, well, the door and the hinge comes in separate pieces, and the hinge bit didn't really want to go into the cab and fit, so I had to super glue it in and just cram it in there and hope for the best. Yeah, the plastic is really, I mean, the first cab I got was in pieces, and once I got an intact one that I started working on, I kind of figure out why. It's not great. It's really brittle. It does look fantastic, though. I decided to mix my own orange color and then use the same on the inside because that's what the real ones came like back in the day. Same interior as exterior, with some details like the silver on the doors and all that stuff. I try to copy an actual LandCruiser in that respect. The bed, some of the parts are nice. Some of them are the black shiny plastic, which is not as nice to work with. Also kind of brittle and yeah, easy to break. Painted the bed as well. The nice thing about the bed, and what kind of sold me years ago on wanting one of these is it's got the wooden slats in the bed, and it looks really good. I did some detailing and some weathering here. Used some Tamiya weathering master to get some metal effects where it's kind of worn down, some rust effects where it's worn down and rusted. And all in all, I think it turned out really cool, and I'm quite pleased with how it looks. So I already touched on the axles a bit earlier. Being a KM kit, which means, like I mentioned, kit metal, these are all metal axles. The RTRs come with plastic hexes and just overall not as sturdy or durable an axle. The metal ones have, they're all metal. Metal housings, cast metal, but they're strong. I haven't broken one yet, and I've had them for years. Come with brass gears. Would prefer steel, but the brass works. It also comes with metal outputs, hexes, and better joints there, so you have more steering and a smoother ride, really. The trick with these is getting them meshed fairly decent on the gears, which can be a bit tricky. You have the little plastic seals you can use to build in and out, or you'd have to use a washer of some sort, a shim. They come together fairly easily, top part, bottom part, and the good thing about these, depending on which kit you have, is it doesn't matter which way you turn them, upside down or right way up. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is if you have a gearbox that spins both the same way on both front and back, you have to make sure you have the axles opposite each other, or one will spin forward, one will spin backward, and you'll be just stuck in one place, jumping up and down and not moving along at all. If you have a counter-rotating one, you'll have them the same way. So these are an offset pumpkin. So pumpkin on one side in the front, pumpkin on the other side in the rear. If you have a counter-rotating gearbox, pumpkins on the same side. So yeah, it's pretty simple like that. Steering on these axles it's okay. It's not fantastic, but it does the trick. And of course, once you have the axles assembled, make sure to use Loctite or they'll just pop apart pretty much. It's time to mount them up to the rig. On the C44, the upper link mount is a bit different than on the C24, B24, B36, so all of those other ones. It used to be you could get a metal one. I'm not quite sure if you can anymore. I managed to break one of the plastic ones and just kind of went along with it. Again, brittle plastics. That's kind of a recurring theme with the WPL stuff. Plastics, fairly brittle, easy to crack and easy to break. It's not the first time, so I would prefer a better quality plastic. But then again, $100 for a full kit with most of the electronics, minus radio and receiver. So yeah, this even comes with 2 servos, motor, gearbox, all that stuff, and wheels. So make sure you measure out the links correctly, or your axles will be on an angle and your car will be running weird. That goes for any crawler you build or any linked vehicle you build. So if you've ever done a build before, you'll know that. If you're new to this, make sure you measure out the links correctly, or you will be having issues. You got brass balls for the links, which are nice. Tiny bit of added weight, and they're fairly smooth. The links mount to the chassis a bit differently than on the C series ones, but worked out okay. They're a bit tight, so you don't get the best articulation, but again, not a hardcore crawler. So with all the RTR WPLs, this is a kit, so different. You get like pretty noodly plastic links, and you can get upgraded ones from WPL. And this is a KM kit, so it already comes with, because it's kit metal, KM, comes with the metal links. So stainless steel links, plastic rod ends, brass balls. Pretty simple. The only thing you have to make sure you do is measure them out correctly, because if one's like a millimeter or two longer than the other, your axle is going to be at an angle, all wonky and whatnot. There are a lot of options that I've found through the years for what you would call, what they claim are upgrade links for the WPLs. In my experience, about all of those are, what's the word I'm looking for? I think it's crap. Yeah, they're all crap. The WPL ones, on the other hand, work fine. They're a bit snug when they're new. Once you wear them in, they're not as bad. So, but with the link positions, the way everything's set up, they're not going to give you a lot of flex or articulation if you want. But they do the trick. They keep the axles in place. They give you some rotational movement, which is what you want. And again, trail rig. With the axles on, and you can see me moving them here, not the greatest movement, but once the heavy body gets put on, it'll even out those slightly stiff shocks. The servo goes up front, and then there goes a tray on top of that, and ideally you could put the electronics in there, as you'll see a bit later. I wasn't able to do that, so I had to figure out something else to do. So, well, you have the gearbox in, you have the axles in. You kind of need something to get the power from the gearbox and the motor, of course, to the axles. What do you use? You use the drive shafts. These come in pieces. As you can see here, you have little pins, you have the cups that go in, and you have the shafts, and you have those little rings you see right there on the left. Those are the spring rings that sort of hold everything together once you have the pin in and the actual axle bits put together. Those tend to hold pretty well, unless you hit a rock at the wrong angle, I guess, or the wrong way. They have tendency to come off, and then the whole drive shaft just plops apart. So a little trick I've learned, well, and used several times, because I have a bunch of these axles on different rigs. As you see there, right down on the right, I use a little shrink tube. You put that over the ring and over the end of the drive shaft, heat it up, tightens down, and then that helps keep the ring in place, so you don't accidentally just drop the whole drive shaft while you're out driving, because if you're not in your backyard, that's not going to be fun. So once that's done, oh, that's fun. Remember your positive and your negative. Don't do what I did and solder stuff up and then it doesn't work. See, because that releases the smoke. Luckily, I had several of these little RSV3 ESC thingies. They're not great, but they kind of work in the WPL. Kinda. For a few minutes. We'll get back to that, because that was another fun thing about this build. It kind of worked, but then it didn't. And that's been kind of the story of me using the RESV3. It kind of works, and then it really doesn't. Anyways, let's get back to the drive shafts. So you have two different length drive shafts. They go together fairly easily. Didn't take me more than, I'd say, 5-6 minutes putting together, which is decent, because the rest of the chassis took a while, because while it has a great body on top, the chassis is you could probably use the great looking body and then put it on something slightly more capable, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't not recommend doing that. The axles are actually not bad. The gearbox is good, except it hangs low. It's just the whole package is a bit lacking. Well, it is and it isn't. If you just want a trail truck, it's going to be just fine. Steering angles is okay. Torque is amazing. High speed, especially the 3S, is kind of redonkulous. Shocks, they're not great, but they work. Overall, it's not a bad chassis. It's just not a great chassis. It's a cheap chassis. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to say here. WPL is cheap, and it feels. It doesn't look cheap once you have it all together. I have a bunch of them. I like them, but mostly for the looks. They can be to be fairly capable. You just kind of have to swap everything out. And a lot of the aftermarket parts for the WPL, not from WPL itself, but from other like manufacturers and third parties, are just going to make it worse, especially shocks. A lot of the stuff that they sell for WPL upgrade shocks, god awful. You could probably use, I'd say, go for some Endura shocks or something like that for like a TRX4M or FCX18. Just find a way to put those on and you'll be way better off. Just don't get the stuff that says it's for WPL, because, well, I haven't bought some in a little while, but the ones I've gotten in the past have been absolutely horrible. So keep that in mind when you're looking for aftermarket parts for the WPLs. A lot of the stuff they sell, especially on AliExpress, is just not great. Or just straight up bad, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, let's get this thing together. I want to see what it can do, and I want to take it outside and run it. Because I've done the C24s and the B24s and all that stuff. This is a different chassis, kind of a different platform. It's longer wheelbase. It's got a different body, but it's got different chassis rails. The rest of the stuff is the same. You got the same axles, pretty much. No matter which WPL you get, you're gonna get these axles or the plastic ones in the RTRs, and they work. And you pretty much get the same links. Don't get aftermarket links unless you get some proper ones, because a lot of them just are not good. The stock ones are just fine. Well, the stock metal ones. The plastic ones, not great. Drive shafts, the plastic ones, they've made some changes since I first got them, so they're better now, but they're still not great. The plastic ones, they tend to break, which is good. It's a weak point. You want weak points. And then, but get the metal ones. And the WPL ones are probably the best ones of the aftermarket, or the upgrade ones I've found. Same goes to the axles. WPL axles are the best upgrade axles for WPLs. So, yeah. And like I said, the shocks, while they're not great, they work on these things. They're friction shocks. They're a little spring inside the shock. Nothing fancy. They bounce around a little bit, but you can get different stiffness springs. Tune a little bit like that. They don't give a lot of articulation, but honestly, you don't need a lot of articulation for most kind of driving. The more you have, the worse it gets often. Like my comp brakes, they don't have tons and tons of articulation. They're not going to 90 degrees. Well, this isn't going to get close to what I have on my comp brakes, but you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess, or something like that. So I've got the WPL RESV3 electronics in. I've never been really happy with them. They have a lot of really cool functionality. They got a bunch of light outputs, so you can get like blinkers, you can get front lights, brake lights, rear lights, all that stuff, which is awesome. Just have to get the right plugs and all that stuff. They have a winch out. They have the 2-speed out, which is good. They have a little sound module built in. Get a diesel or a petrol one. This is the diesel one. And you see, that's kind of what happens when you don't pay attention to your positives and negatives. Don't. Luckily, I had several spares because I've pretty much discarded all of them. They tend to not last very long in my experience. Well, this lasted the shortest of all the ones I've had. But yeah, like I said earlier, we're going to get back to that because this also didn't last very long. The good thing is you can hook up an external ESC to this thing and get a proper ESC. You're still going to be plagued with the, WPL stuff. Like steering tends to go haywire. There are no real settings in there. You just got to work with what you have. See the little plug on the right there, the black and the white? That's for an external ESC. That's really cool they did that, because then you can use it as just a receiver, pretty much. So you can get your steering off there, you can get your winch, you can get your 2-speed, all that stuff. Sound, for as long as it lasts. The sound tends to last for about 10 minutes in my experience. But yeah, so if you ran like a 1060, 1080 hobby wing, an ISDT ESC 70, which I run in one of my C24s, and that actually works way better. You can get some proper power from the BEC, so you can get the servo to actually work properly. This has a 25 gram servo, so in theory it should have, well, not great, but decent torque, but with a, I think 5 amp, no, not 5 amp, but 5 volt, like 1 or 2 amp, whatever it's in the BEC. So we have gotten to the point where we're going to try and mount everything together. Well, as you can see, it's pretty much already kind of mounted up. I've got the body on, which, oh boy, let me tell you. The plastic, I've mentioned it, it's kind of brittle. I mean, it looks great. I did the paint orange, because I like orange. I like blue usually together. This time, just orange. Orange is I love the color. It's a nightmare to paint. You need so many layers of paint to get it to work properly. But anyways, I got it down. I did some weathering because I haven't really done that much of weathering stuff like this. So I wanted to give it a go. I just used my airbrush for everything. And I think it turned out well. Airbrush and then the Tamiya weathering master. But you can see here, well, you can't see, but I managed to crack one of the screw mounts up under the cab, which was just brittle. I mean, the first body I got in the box when I got the C44KM was just smashed to bits, which was kind of a, I don't know, foreshadowing thing, I guess, because this one, while the main cab part came in one piece, well packaged from WPL, all that, it's fine. Then I started mounting it, and it just creaks and cracks, and it's just, the plastic, it's really, it's not thick, but it's not thick. It's okay. It's just really brittle. So you have to be really careful when mounting this thing up. And once it's mounted, you kind of just want it to be there forever, because I kind of fear trying to take it back off again, because I feel like it's going to just fall apart pretty much. But once it's on, once you got it all together, man, does it ever look good. You see the brown on the bottom of the seats there. Yeah, luckily that's hidden by the doors, because that's me trying to paint with a brush with a color I mixed myself, and it didn't turn out great. It did turn out pretty bad, actually. Inside, I used some photos off of Google of actual LandCruisers. I try to kind of replicate that. I think it looks good. I put some silver in the mirrors. I could have probably put some chrome or something like that. It's just so it's just black. Did some metal details here and there, some rust, some dirt, some oil grime, all that good stuff. And yeah, fairly happy with it. It's my most sort of detailed, painted up, weathered body. Could it be better? Probably, but you know, practice, practice, practice. So I've got the lights in. It just came with the front lights, the headlights, with a long wire. I kind of just had to stuff that in there because, I don't know. I had to put the electronics in kind of under inside, and I really struggled getting the RSV3 in there. So I can imagine getting a bigger ESC in there. Probably, maybe even better, actually. The issue with that is I had to use kind of the battery trays up under the hood. I tried to get the ESC under the body, different positions, ended up just chucking it in under the hood. And I'm running a large 3S battery, so where did I put that? There's really no room for it. If I ran a small 2S, I'd probably be good just chucking it in under the hood with the ESC. Yeah. So what I did, I stretched the wire inside the cab and just chucked the battery in the cab. And just let it rattle around in there. That's fine. I'm not going to do hardcore crawling with this thing. Not because I don't want it, just because it's not going to do it. So yeah, altogether, pretty much, needs wheels. I probably should put a winch on there because winches are cool. Probably not going to use it. I had a winch on my C24 for a bit. Didn't use it much, but it's kind of cool just to have it there. So I put the wheels together. It comes with 4 wheel weights, and those wheel weights are heavy, at least for the scale. Spare, luckily no wheel weights. Also no foams, because I don't think they believe in foams. And probably a good thing, because the WPL tires, even these kit ones, which are far, far better than the RTR tires, are kind of thick. It's got a thick carcass. They're not going to conform great to rocks or anything like that. They're a nice kind of scale looking tire you can trail with, which is what this thing is for. Once you have those wheels on, in my experience, some of the WPL wheels are really tight to get on. Once you have them on, you kind of don't want to take them off again because you don't know if you're going to be able to. And here's another gripe that I have with WPL, one of more than a few. Why? Well, I understand why they do it because they've been doing it for years and they probably don't want to change around. But why are they running 5mm hex? That's a kind of a toy size. Why couldn't they at least use? Well, why couldn't they just use 7mm like all other small scale? So, what are my feelings about the C44KM from WPL? Well, it certainly is a beautiful looking truck. Of course, I think it's even more beautiful since I painted it and weathered it, but even the brown, while being a bit shiny, is really, really good looking. Body's a bit brittle, plastic. I cracked it a few places building it and attaching it to the chassis, so that's not great, but nothing a bit of super glue can fix. If I were to fix it with super glue, so I know that. Chassis build, it was okay, about what you can expect from building a WPL. So if you've built one, you know what you're in for. I thought I had the axle sorted. Not so much. Front axle cut out, gave up with some very light attempts of crawling. Now it's a rear-wheel drive truck, which is fine. Just have to fix the axle. It's usually a pretty simple fix. I hope the gears are still intact. If not, I have some stainless steel ones that are way better. Apart from that, servo it's atrocious. It's so weak. It's got no torque. It's supposed to have like 4 kilos, which is too little for a truck this heavy and this big. But even those 4 kilos, I don't believe it. It stalls out at flat ground. It's useless. It's got to go. And it's the metal geared one as well, which is supposed to be better, but it's garbage. Let's be honest. Motor, gearbox, very nice, especially on 3S. Hangs low, so it hangs up on stuff. But other than that, cool. The rest V3 electronics Never been a big fan. I put it in there because I had it. Sound cut out after about 5 minutes of playing with it. Now there's no sound. Maybe if I switch it off and switch it on again, maybe it'll work, but I don't know. So quality, it's okay. The positive thing is it's like $100 and you get a winch with it, and shipping's free from WPL. So if they still have it, it's well worth it, even with its flaws, because it's a great trail truck. It looks fantastic. It's a fun enough build, and if you put some decent electronics in it, which I will do, it's going to perform a heck of a lot better. So yeah, if you can still get one, do. They're $100. It's nothing. It's a 1/14 scale, really scale looking, fun enough build, and it's a really nice trail truck. It's a useless crawler. Servo's crap, so make sure to order another servo. I found one that's good for about 10-11 kilos, same size, $20, well worth it. So I'm curious to see how that works. Should be way better, but for now, yeah, I approve of this. It's not the best, and I'm used to way better crawlers, but it's a trail truck. As a shelf queen, it's a bit of both. Yeah, it's really good.